Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of developing news today, a lot of breaking news out of the Middle East, the G7 summit that is currently taking place today. So I will share that with you and what's going on broadly in markets today, because markets are doing well. We're kind of shrugging off the whole Middle East situation, and we do have big catalysts throughout this week, specifically on Wednesday with the Fed, that I think will help drive markets to new all-time highs. And I will explain that in this video as well. So do me a quick favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. By the way, if you guys want to come join the trading community, get access to all of my research, some of the underlooked, a lot of them AI stocks that are just underlooked, simply. Like, there's one in particular that trades at a 5.8 PE that is growing their AI subscription revenue 25%. That is, I mean, profitable. Like, just super underloved stocks. That, why are they underloved? Because they're $1 billion market cap and nobody covers them. Those, my friend, are called hidden gems, and we are finding them, and we are investing in those. So if you guys want to come do stuff like that, come talk to me, come talk to the community. Link down below in the description of this video. But let's get started. Now, there is a lot of conflicting, I guess, statements today. One Iranian advisor to the Revolutionary Guards commander says, quote, "We are ready for a long war and haven't yet made strategic use of our missile capabilities." And there's basically been back and forth calls to evacuate Tehran, as well as Iran has told Israeli citizens to evacuate Tel Aviv. So it does seem like the conflict is getting worse. But then you have this headline coming out from the Wall Street Journal, quote, citing officials. They say that Iran signals it wants to de-escalate hostilities with Israel. And the Wall Street Journal is also reporting that Iran stated previously it will resume nuclear talks if the U.S. stays out of the fight. Iran is seeking talks with the U.S. and Israel, sending messages via Arab intermediaries to end hostilities. And according to the Wall Street Journal, Iran's military and political leadership are prepared to give up uranium enrichment to preserve the regime. Following some of these headlines, the odds of a U.S.-Iran nuclear deal rise to 44% on betting markets like Kalshi. And it is being reported that Israel is seeking to eliminate Iran's state TV facilities in the Iranian capital. USS Nimitz carrier strike group is sailing towards the Middle East ahead of schedule, a U.S. official tells Fox News. Iran asked Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Oman to ask Trump to press Israel to agree to an immediate ceasefire, to Iranian and 3 regional sources. But the Israeli military says that they are continuing to strike military targets in central Iran. Germany's chancellor at the G7 meeting says, "We will see if there is opportunity to discuss tariff policy on the sidelines of this summit with the US." And that seems like what all countries are trying to do. They're going to this G7 summit and they're trying to, on the sidelines, talk about tariff policy with the US. And here you could see Iran's Revolutionary Guards call on Tel Aviv residents to evacuate as soon as possible. So again, don't exactly know what that's about, but they're kind of indicating that there's going to be more attacks that maybe actually land in Tel Aviv. UK's Prime Minister Starmer says, "I will discuss the trade deal with Trump today," and that we are in the final stages of implementing a trade deal with the US. He expects it to be completed very soon. UK's Prime Minister Starmer on the Middle East says, "I do believe there is a consensus on de-escalation at the G7. And also in the news, Trump will not sign the G7 statement on Israel and Iran. Trump says that he has a good relationship with Canada's Prime Minister Carney. Trump says we are going to talk about trade and many other things at the G7. Trump says that throwing Russia out of the G7 was a mistake. Trump says we will accomplish a lot and mainly focus on trade with Canada. And as we already knew, Trump says that he is a tariff person. Trump says that a deal with Canada is achievable within days or weeks, but he says that both parties have to agree. Trump at the G7 says Iran is not winning this war. They should talk before it's too late. And Trump at the G7 says Iranians want to talk about de-escalation. Trump at the G7 says he wouldn't mind China joining the G7. So I actually view this as probably a positive thing in China-U.S. relations. And Donald Trump reiterates support for Israel. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Landau says U.S. top officials will visit Mexico soon. And it says here, Iran is preparing for the largest and most intense missile attack in history on Israeli soil, according to Iranian state media. And Fars news agency citing an Iranian official says, we are preparing to launch a very large strike against Israel, which again, markets today are actually doing quite well, even though there's, again, some of this mixed kind of messaging between Iran wants de-escalation and they're gonna do this huge attack on Israel. Israel's obviously not de-escalating things either, in all fairness, but Wall Street's kind of getting over the whole, conflict as being a negative thing for stocks. It only really matters the implications for energy. That's what matters with this conflict. And then obviously if there were to be some kind of nuclear incident, that would be important. But just, quote unquote, normal, like fighting is not a negative. These are typically not negative catalysts for markets, whether it's Iran, Israel, Ukraine, Russia. Like markets freak out for a period and then they get over it. And it's business as usual. You're getting to the business as usual part, and that's why markets actually didn't sell off today. If there is some kind of de-escalation that comes in the coming days, then that would be something that Wall Street would like. Okay, that would be a positive event for markets. The other big positive catalyst this week, I believe, will be the Fed. And that, simply put, we talked about this in the last video, is because Wall Street is so negative. They think the Fed's like out of if 10 is the most like hawkish, Fed, and 0 is like a super dove, Wall Street's at like a 7. Like they think the Fed's gonna be pretty dang hawkish. I think the Fed's gonna be like a 4. I think the Fed's going to be a little bit more on the dovish side if 5's like neutral, okay? That discrepancy likely causes stocks to move higher and break to new all-time highs. The fact that the markets are getting over this Middle East conflict as a negative catalyst paves the way for the Fed to, again, push us to new all-time highs. And there's not a whole lot that is limiting markets at this point, especially once you get to new all-time highs. That's when the chase really starts. That's when people are going to actually start to get, bullish on this market again. That's when the algorithms are going to go out and start buying stocks, because one all-time high tends to lead to another, that tends to lead to another, that tends to lead to another, okay? That's my expectation for this week, is at least a break to new all-time highs. But again, I could be wrong. Texas Republican Crenshaw on Iran says the job is not done yet. They still do have certain nuclear facilities that are buried so deep underground that it requires special kinds of explosives or sabotage to destroy them. That was on Fox Business. So yeah, it looks like this is going to be a situation for probably quite a while. Now, in terms of economic data, we did not have much for the day today. New York Empire State Manufacturing Index came in at -16, worse than the estimated -5.5. But again, it's not something that markets really care about all too much. Tomorrow, we're going to get retail sales. And even heading into that right now, the consensus is becoming more negative. This is kind of like CPI last week and why I was bullish on CPI. I thought CPI was going to come in better than Wall Street did. Well, same for retail sales tomorrow. I think retail sales are going to come in better than Wall Street thinks, because Wall Street's really negative. Even if it's not a great report, it's probably not going to be as bad as negative 0.7% when last month was positive 0.1%. Like that's a pretty negative number considering last month was not that positive. And again, you're looking at a month over month comparison here. So even to get like a negative 0.3% would be a pretty damn good number. So that's a potential catalyst to look out for tomorrow morning. But the big one, again, is Jerome Powell, the Fed, the summary of economic projections on Wednesday. Here on the day today, the percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average sitting at 71.21%, again on the high side, but it really just shows you that a lot of our markets are doing quite well. Okay, it's just it's not a super concentrated market. This is not like 2023 or most of 2024 where it was just the Mag 7 that was doing well. There's a lot of stocks above their 50-day moving average, which is a good sign. Now, the Fear and Greed Index over on CNN is coming in at 61 today. Yes, Friday. It was at 59. So moving up a little bit. Market momentum is fear. Stock price strength is greed. Stock price breadth, extreme greed. Put and call options, extreme greed. Market volatility is neutral. And safe haven demand and greed, as well as junk bond demand, neutral. And the most recent AI investor sentiment survey shows that bullish investors are now outpacing bearish investors by about 3% or so. It'll be interesting to see with this whole Middle East conflict if that changes. If you do get a flip-flop back to there being more bears versus bulls. Bullish investors at 36.7% currently, neutral investors at 29.7%, and bearish investors at 33.6%. Markets are closed on Thursday, so how does that influence this? Because this normally comes out on Thursday. There may be a little bit of a delay in this getting out to us, or it might come out on Wednesday. So we'll see, and I'll keep you guys posted. So again, let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comment section. Are you bullish? Are you bearish on this market? I would love your feedback because you never ultimately know what's coming next in markets, and then the more feedback, I think, the better. So again, let me know what you guys think. Check out the links down below in the description of this video if you have not done so already. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.